Aloha there, and we are going to, just click here on where we left off. We were talking about politics and government in India. Went over the politics part where Obama even went to the Congress to give out a speech, and it was a bit of a moment. It's even pictured here in the Wikipedia article, especially how spacious it is. That's the thing that really hit to me in seeing it. Now, let's look at government. India is a federation with a parliamentary system governed under the Constitution of India. The country's supreme legal document. It is a constitutional republic and representative democracy in which majority rule. No, quote, quote, majority rule is tempered by minority rights protected by law, end quote. Federalism in India defines the power distribution between the union and the states. The Constitution of India, which came into effect in 26 January 1950, because after partition, it still took quite a while for it to have a democratic country and running all that for show. Originally stated India to be a sovereign democratic republic, this characterization was amended in 1971 to a sovereign, socialist, secular democratic republic. India's form of government, traditionally described as quasi-federal, with a strong central and weak states, has grown increasingly since the late 1990s as a result of political, economic, and social changes. And it shows how big the country has to figure out how to navigate through its society. A big government in a big country is always present. Oh, yeah. I look at pictures way in the end, making sure I cover all my bases from there. The government comprises three branches: executive, legislative, and judiciary. Now, yeah, I got this there. Executive, the president of India is the ceremonial head of state, electoral college. The prime minister of India is the head of government, exercises most of the executive power. There's a president, and there's a prime minister. Yeah, appointed by the president, the prime minister is a convention supported by the party or political alliance have a majority of seats in the lower house of parliament. Union council ministers, vice president under that, civil servants, and act as permanent executives, and all decisions to the executive are implemented by them. Legislature. The legislature of India is a bicameral parliament operating under a Westminster style parliamentary system similar to Britain. It comprises an upper house called the Raj Sabha Council of States and a lower house called the Lok Sabha House of the People. So it will be related to, if I'm just thinking about the U.S. Republic, it will be the Senate and the House of Representatives, but House of the People would be the people representing the Council of States would be referred to senators, I would presume. But luckily there is their own wiki pages. So yeah, it does show how a big country like this has a lot of things going on with it. Embassy, parliamentary, yeah. This is two senators and senates. Now, judiciary. India has a three-tier unitary independent judiciary composed of the Supreme Court, Chief Justice of India, High Courts, and lumber trial courts. Yeah, in every case of evaluating government action is seemed constitutional. They are there to define the laws, legislation to make the laws, and executive to enforce the laws. Administration divisions. India is a federal union comprised of 28 states and 8 union territories. All states, as well as the union territories of Jammu and Kashmir, Puducherry, and the National Capital Territory of Delhi, have elected legislatures and governments following the Westminster system of governance. Yeah, there are over a quarter of a million local government bodies at city, town, block, district, and village levels. Now, under the states, this is all the states in India. There is a total of 28 in the United Territories. there is, yeah, 8 territories that you don't deny because look, Dadra and Navigata, Havi and Daman and Dewey, 4 places that seems under one territory, even though they're separate geographically. So it's interesting. So yeah, looking at all of these territories, even alright, where is 28? Because that is West Bengal, and that is close to Burma and Bangladesh. So Bengal, something like that. Reminds me of the whole, was it in the British Isles? There is Ireland and the United Kingdom, but the United Kingdom has a territory state somewhat body that's called Northern Ireland. And there's a heap of a whole heap of history related to that, but yeah. Now, Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Kolkata, Haryana, way to Punjab, Rajasthan, Sikkim. Alright, so that's just 22. So where should it be? Right over here. This small little one. Stands out because, yeah, it's close to Zeke. Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Odisha, yeah. Much effort because, oh man, it's hard to say these words. Atara, Hakkan, Tripura. But anyhow, there's also the United Territories, pretty much here. Lakka, Lakshadweep, and Pondicherry, Jammu and Kashmir. Much more. Let me actually look at. So they have the names here. Foreign, economic, and strategic relations. Oh boy, that's going to be a long read. I wonder if there's anything I want to look through here. So, each of them have their own wiki page, a long wiki page that talks about each different district. And for the future, because of how much I do want to know about India, I will go through each state and see how everything is. Because just like in the United States, there's so many states that people really like to put them in a own categories, their own history and stuff. There's like 50 states and multiple territories because, yeah, Puerto Rico is finally getting a representation of the global stage compared to before. Which the other territories, you know, America's small one, Guam, and why not the U.S. Virgin Islands, come to the fruition. But yeah, so yeah, there's plenty of other ones, like even the territories, where it still even has a long history of things going on, and it actually talks more of how everything is, life is, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's something I'll put forth. But anywho, let's see what else is here. What? In the 1950s, India strongly supported decolonization in Africa and Asia and played a leading role in the non-aligned movement. Oh yeah, sorry, I got distracted because I was looking at the huge map of India. So, so pretty much, there's the picture of what it looks like, the big old Capitol building in India. The official residence of the President of India was designed by British architects Edwin Lutyens and Herbert Baker for the Viceroyal of India and constructed between 1911 and 1931 during the British Raj. The official residence of the President of India. Still looks, look at the Capitol building versus a White House, but you know, in this area, it looks like a mixture of the White House and Supreme Court, and then the Capitol building because it's a big old dome. But you know, it's a thing about Greek architecture. Greek architecture tends to look the same. And there's also, yeah, this one where it talks about national symbols, where the flag Tiranga is just another name for tricolor, and the emblem is the center lion capital. The state emblem in India is the national emblem of India and used by the union government, many state governments, and government agencies. A statue from 280 during the reign of the Maurya Empire, lion capital of Ashoka. So this is for more of its history of Hinduism and Buddhism and all that. Anthem, Jana Gana Mana is the national anthem of the Republic of India. And the song, Vande Matarama, language is none. Meaning that under the Constitution, there is not a defining official language. You get examples like in the US, there's actually no official language, even though a majority of people who speak English there. As also in India, they don't put that question because it will go to the tricky line of what is a people? Like, what constitutes its people from India, Indians, and people from the US, Americans, and all that sorts. Now, the currency is the Indian rupee, with calendar Saka, animal Bengal tiger, river dolphin, Indian peahole. Oh my god, river dolphin. They look menacing. Bengal tiger? Nah, they look chill as fuck. And then the flower is lotus, fruit mango, tree banyan, and river Ganges. Huh. Ganges is a trans-boundary river of Asia which flows through India and Bangladesh. Okay. A river that's just sitting like that. It looks like the South Asia's version of Venice. It looks so neat. Now, administration divisions. India is a federal union comprising 28 states and 8 unions territories. All states... Oh no, shoot. I already looked through that. Because, what is it? Yeah, 90% under the states recognized act states were organized as linguist bases that recorded a million local government bodies. City, town, block, district, and village levels. Yeah. I am very troubled about that because look into this sliver of India that Bangladesh is in the center of it, yet specific. It is the same case. Well, looking through history would be like the history of Prussia, where it was two countries that were separated, two empires really that were separated geographically in the area that is what modern day Poland. And you know, there's actually a history of all of that where they wanted to unite everything, which led to the German unification, German history, all that, and then expansionism later on in this history. But yeah, anyhow, in the 1950 foreign economic and foreign economic strategic relations in the 1950s, India strongly supported decolonization of Africa and Asia and played a leading role in the non-aligned movement. After initially cordial relations with neighboring China, India went to war with China in 1962. Well, so much with foreign relations. And was widely thought to have been humiliated. India has then tense relations with neighboring Pakistan. The two nations have gone to war 4 times in 1947, 1965, 1971, and 1999. Oh man, that's how recently it was. Oh boy, oh golly, oh gee. Three of these wars were fought over the disputed territory of Kashmir, while the fourth, the 1971 war, followed India's support for the independence of Bangladesh. In the late 1980s, the Indian military the Indian military twice intervened abroad at the invitation of the host country. A peacekeeping operation in Sri Lanka between 1987 and 1990, an armed intervention to prevent a 1988 coup d'etat attempt in the Maldives. After the 1965 war with Pakistan, India began to pursue close military and economic ties with the Soviet Union. By the late 1960s, the Soviet Union was the largest arms supplier. Now, yeah. And the Maldives, that's the thing that always triples me, but this shows the big old history of India. And it's history. Aside from ongoing the special relationship with Russia, India has wide-ranging defense relations with Israel and France. In recent years, it has played key roles in the South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation and the World Trade Organization. Good old WTO. The nation has provided 1,000 military and police personnel to serve in 35 UN peacekeeping operations across 4 continents. It participates in the East Asia Summit, the G8+5, and other multilateral forums. Now, +5 was an international group that consisted of the leaders of the heads of government from the G8 nations, yes, plus the heads of the government of the 5 leading emerging economies. In March 2014, okay, yeah, this show it's different because being raised and hearing about the G8 summits, I always thought, hey, ain't there just 8? What's up with the +5? But 5 emerging economies, especially around the 2010s, where life nowadays are different compared to the 90s or the 2000s. Way different than it was in the 1980s, especially that whole Cold War that was going on throughout the world. But the UN peacekeeping operations, okay, doesn't highlight the 35. Asia, Africa, it pursues a look east policy that seeks to strengthen partnerships with Asian nations, Japan and South Korea, that revolve around many issues but especially those involving economic investment and regional security. Now, the Look East policy is an effort to cultivate extensive economic and strategic relations with the nations of Southeast Asia to bolster its standing in the regional power and counterweight to the strategic influence of the People's Republic of China. Yeah. So, this is related just to India. This is related to what's going on in its recent history, especially with rivaling the Chinese sphere of influence in the region, especially from East Asia region to Southeast Asia and part of South Asia. China's nuclear test of 1964, as well as its repeated threats to intervene in support of Pakistan in the 1965 war, convinced India to develop nuclear weapons. India conducted its first nuclear weapons test in 1974 and carried out additional underground testing in 1998. Despite criticism and military sanctions, India has signed neither the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty nor the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, considering both to be flawed and discriminatory. Countries just gotta like their nukes. So South Africa, that was it's a worthwhile story to look at. South Africa getting rid of their nuclear arms. India maintains a no first use nuclear policy and developing nuclear triad capability as part of its minimum credible deterrence doctrine. It is developing a ballistic missile defense shield and the 15th generation fighter jet. Other indigenous military projects involve the design and implementation of Vikrant class aircraft carriers and Arhan class nuclear submarines. Righty. Since the end of the Cold War, India has increased its economic, strategic, and military cooperation with the United States and the European Union. In 2008, a civilian nuclear agreement was signed between India and the United States. Although India possessed nuclear weapons at the time, it was not a party of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. It received waivers from the International Atomic Energy Agency and the Nuclear Suppliers Group, ending earlier restrictions on India's nuclear technology commerce. As a consequence, India became the sixth de facto nuclear weapons state. India subsequently signed cooperation agreements involving civilian nuclear energy with Russia, France, and the United Kingdom, and Canada. The President of India is the supreme commander of the nation's armed forces with 1.4 million active troops. They compose the world's second largest military. It comprises the Indian Army, the Indian Navy, the Indian Air Force, and the Indian Coast Guard. The official Indian defense budget for 2011 was US $36.03 billion, or 1.83% of the GDP. Part of the GDP. Defense expenditure was pegged at US $70.12 billion for fiscal year 2022 and 2023, and increased 9.8% than previous fiscal year. India is the world's India is the world's second largest arms importer between 2016 and 2020. It accounted for 9.5% of the total global arms imports. Much of the military expenditure was focused on defense against Pakistan in countering growing Chinese influence in the Indian Ocean. In May 2017, the Indian Space Research Organization launched the South Asian satellite, a gift from India to the neighboring Saud RC countries. In October 2018, India signed a US $5.43 billion over $400 billion agreement with Russia to procure 4 S-400 Triumph surface-to-air missile defenses, Russia's most advanced long-range missile defense system. Alrighty. Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India left background. Talks with the President Enrique Peña Nieto at Mexico during a visit to Mexico 2016. Right here and there. Now, there's the economy. According to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the Indian economy in 2021 was normally worth 3.4 trillion in the sixth largest economy by market exchange rates, and is around 10.219 trillion, the third largest by purchasing power parity PPP, with the average annual GDP growth rate of 5.8% over the past 2 decades and reaching 6.1% through 2011 and 2012. India is one of the world's fastest growing economies. However, the country ranks 139th in the world in nominal GDP per capita and 18 in GDP per capita PPP. Alright, 1991, yeah. It's the regulation of the balance of payments over the robust economy, the World Trade Organization of around 22 million workers in Indian labor forces, and the world's second largest ad is 2017. Textile communication, major industries include textiles, telecommunications, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, food processing, steel, transport equipment, cement, mining, petroleum, machinery, and software. So there's a bunch that's part of the major industries in this economy. Let's see what I have left. So let me look at the time. I should put on time. Let me look at all the pictures because I missed some. The old picture and its history for relations. During the 1950s and 60s, India's played a pivotal role in the non-aligned movement from left to right. Gamal Abdel Nasser of United Arab Republic, now Egypt, Joseph Broz Tito of Yugoslavia, and Jawaharlal Nehru in Belgrade. Belgrade. Yeah, it should be Belgrade. In September of 1961. This big picture where you have a bunch of world people in a black and white photo. The Indian Air Force contingent marching at the 221st Bastille Day military parade in Paris on 4th July 2009. The parade, in which India was the foreign guest, was led by the Indians' old regiment, the Modern Light Infantry, founded in 1768. So that should be, yeah. You can see them perform there. In the marching parade, especially on video, because what is it? I'm thinking about the whole military parade in what is it? The Olympics that was happening in Berlin, Germany, where you had a host of countries that a bunch of their military parades were saluted to Adolf Hitler in the famous German salute, and it's just quite wild because you see so many of these countries like doing that. But now it's pretty much uniform where people would march, they would salute and show respect in their own different way and customs. So yeah, you can see the good old marching with your arms way out, which I was just taught to march very subtly that way. But yeah, whatever floats their boat. Now, 2008, India's share of world trade was 1.68%. In 2011, India was the world's 10th largest importer and the 19th largest exporter. Major exports include petroleum products, textile goods, jewelry, software, engineering goods, chemicals, and manufacturing leather goods. Major influence include crude oil, machinery, germs, fertilizer, and chemicals. In 2001 and 2011, the contribution of petrochemical and engineering goods to total exports grew from 40% to 42%. India was the world's second largest textile exporter after China in the 2013 calendar year. And yeah, it talks about all this. There's just a lot. Yeah, this is what I wanted to read. So, highest world contributed to the economy by 32 million Indians working in foreign countries. Major agricultural products include rice, wheat, oilseed, cotton, jute, tea, sugarcane, and potatoes. And yeah, a lot of industry that is focusing like that. I'm trying to condense all this stuff too, so I want to make sure I don't get too bogged down. I feel a bit bogged down right now, but just because of reading everything in a loud manner just to keep it up with it. Yeah, especially making sure I keep my voice for next time. Oh my. India, which ranked 46th in the global innovation index in 2021, and it increased its ranking serially since 2015, where it was a once 81st. India's consumer market, the world's 11th largest, is expected to become 5th largest by 2011. Yeah, this thing 81st? 81st? Yeah, it's just a video address. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're almost done with this, but yeah, this economy just brings up so much. Especially the pictures. A farmer in northeast Kashnaka plows his field with a tractor. Yeah. And here, looking at the time, I'll just come back this next time. Furthermore, aloha.